Hello guys, this is what if Naruto was the yellow flash of Kiri. Only 31% of my subscribers have the notification bell on. This is a quick reminder to turn on the bell if you are subscribed to me to never miss out on a new part of your favorite fanfiction. Let's begin with the story.
The demonic chakra was swirling around the now golden-eyed man. He grinned manically and suddenly disappeared, before reappearing, and he punched Naruto smack in the face. The force behind the blow knocked Naruto back several meters. When he got up, he spit out blood. "We shouldn't be fighting, we're both Jinchuriki, we should stick together. Please join our side," Naruto pleaded. Utakata ignored his request and reappeared and roundhouse kicked Naruto again. "He's not fighting back, why?" Nakai turned towards Chojuro. "I have no idea, I hope he's up to something." Chojuro gulped. "Fight back. Show me the power of the Kyubi," the clearly demon-possessed boy yelled as he continued to literally beat the living shit out of Naruto. Naruto pushed to his feet. "And no, I won't use Kyubi, I'll win this with my own power," Naruto panted out. This struck a chord in Utakata's head. He remembered his own deceleration of that sort. Maybe they weren't so different? No. He had to fight. Naruto noticed Utakata stop dead in his tracks at this. He smirked as he ran and delivered a fierce uppercut at the distracted man, sending him flying away. Utakata glared as he brushed himself off. He then sent a torrent of chakra-infused bubbles at the more in-control Jinchuriki. Naruto barely dodged the incoming projectiles and sent a wind blade flying at the older man. Utakata dodged and delivered another demon-enhanced punch at Naruto. Naruto knew that if he didn't come up with something quick, he was going to die. All of a sudden he focused his chakra into a ram seal. Utakata raised his eyebrows and watched to see what was going to happen. The blonde-haired boy focused his hands in that seal for about 30 seconds until massive amounts of chakra swirled around him. Utakata narrowed his eyes. He didn't detect a single ounce of demonic chakra, this was the boy's own power. Naruto then fixed his hands in a very familiar seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu. An enormous puff of smoke later and Naruto was standing with hundreds, no thousands of shadow clones. Utakata's eyes widened considerably, even in his demon-enhanced form this might prove a bit of a challenge. The main Naruto then put his hands into another set of familiar seals. Ninja Art, Hidden Mist Jutsu. The mist seemed to appear out of thin air and before he knew it, Utakata couldn't see anything, and was surrounded by hundreds of Narutos. He cursed himself for not learning silent killing. Utakata figured he would do all right if he relied on his heightened sense of smell and hearing. He dodged a punch from one Naruto, turned around and backhanded another, and shot a large bubble at a group, all in one move. He then caught an overextended leg from another clone and quickly stabbed it with a kunai. The group of Narutos soon literally dogpiled onto the other Jinchuriki. "Ha! Not so tough now, are you?" one of them asked. Utakata glared under the pile. Soon an explosion of demon chakra erupted from the man, dispersing not only the clone, but the mist as well. When the mist cleared, his eyes widened at what he saw. Naruto and a clone were both creating a single, enormous, Rasengan held in both their palms. He then found himself held down by the arms and legs by Naruto's remaining clones. "Udama Rasengan!" Naruto shouted as he plunged the extremely large ball of swirling death into Utakata's chest. Utakata saw this coming and focused as much demon chakra as physically possible into the torso area. If it was enough, he didn't know. The sheer power behind Naruto's attack caused Chojuro and Nakai to look away from the blinding light. The Rasengan and demon chakra fought for a few seconds until the Rasengan eventually broke through and sent Utakata flying through the building. Naruto, Chojuro and Nakai followed and saw a bloody and bruised Utakata lying in a pile of his blood. Naruto immediately pulled out Kazuyaba. Utakata smiled. I concede," he announced. The demon inside of his was screaming to let it transform and they would smash this pest, but Utakata knew better. He knew what would happen if he transformed. Chojuro was still in shock of the sheer power behind the technique. If Utakata wasn't a Jinchuriki, he'd be dead. Not just dead, there would be nothing left of him. Naruto nodded and began to walk towards the other Jinchuriki. All of a sudden yokai exploded out of Utakata again. What? I thought you gave up? Naruto asked as he withdrew Kazuyaba again. Help me. The demon, it's taking Utakata yelled as he grabbed his head in pain. His eyes were flashing from gold to brown uncontrollably. Is there any way to stop this? Naruto turned to Chojuro. Chojuro frowned. I'm not sure, I'll go get back up. You and Nakai hold him off until I get back. Naruto nodded and Nakai grinned. They turned to see Utakata stop squirming and the eyes remained gold. So this is the Kyubi Jinchuriki? Pitiful. How did Utakata lose to scum like you? Rokobi asked as a single tail formed from its chakra cloak. Naruto knew this was bad. He knew that the Kyubi wouldn't let him use its chakra, so they were on their own. Nakai glared as electricity seemed to dance around him. Naruto grinned at this. Nakai was one of the strongest men on their side. He had the ability to almost completely control the element of lightning, much like Naruto could control fire and wind with his swords. The larger man charged forward at the demon-possessed man, intent on ending it early. He reared back his fist and sent an electrified fist right into the stomach of Utakata. It exploded outwards and sent Utakata flying backwards. Oh no, you just made me really mad. Rokobi screamed as it disappeared and slammed its fist into Nakai. This electrified the beast, but sent Nakai flying backwards into Naruto. Naruto quickly formed his dual-sided blade and sent another explosive wind fireball at the demon. It was merely absorbed by the demonic chakra. Naruto growled and attempted to slash the monster, only for it to catch the blade with its mere hand, and toss Naruto over its shoulder. Where is your strength, Kyubi? Are you really this weak now? Ha 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 ha. Inside Naruto a single red eye snapped open. Soon red chakra was leaking out of Naruto, before it started to come out like a fire hydrant. The fox cloak soon surrounded the blonde and two tails formed out of the back. Naruto growled demonically as he disappeared and reappeared behind his opponent. He delivered a vicious swipe with his claws, leaving 4 horizontal slashes on the Rokobi/Utakata's chest. The demon screeched in terror and batted Naruto away with its arm. While in mid-air, Naruto turned around and shot his chakra claw at Utakata, lifting him up and sending him sailing away. Nakai watched in awe. This wasn't a mere fight between humans, no, this was on a whole other level. This was a fight between Jinchuriki. The two Jinchuriki traded blows for a couple minutes until Naruto made a mistake in letting his opponent behind him. The Rokobi brought his hand back and prepared to kill Naruto, only for Nakai to appear in the middle at the last minute. Naruto's cloak immediately dispersed as he looked at his fallen friend. Why? Why did you save me? Naruto croaked out. You are more important to this rebellion than me, that is one reason. The other reason is, I wouldn't want to see you die. Please don't let me die in vain. With these final words Nakai left the land of the living. Naruto's bangs covered his eyes as tears streamed down his cheeks. Oops, I missed. I meant to kill you. I guess your friend will have to do for now. The demon mocked. Shut up. Naruto croaked out. What was that? The demon laughed. I said, shut up. The red chakra returned full force as a single tail appeared, followed by a second, and then a third. This was farther than Naruto had ever gone before, more importantly it was farther than he could control. The demon-possessed blonde roared as he disappeared as swiped the other demon in the torso. He then opened his mouth wide and shot a ball of chakra out towards his enemy, sending it flying and crushing another building. The demon-possessed Naruto ruthlessly continued his assault, finishing with a nasty uppercut. Just then Mei appeared with Chojuro. She saw a sight she had never wanted to see. Naruto had lost control of his demon. Naruto! Stop! Mei screamed. Her scream fell on deaf ears as Naruto continued to pummel the fellow Jinchuriki into the ground. One of his cloaked ears perked up and he turned to see his mother and his friend standing there with worried looks. He could only think one thing: to kill. He let out a mighty roar as he charged at his mother. Mei widened her eyes in shock as she witnessed her adopted son charge at her with the intent to kill. He reared his claws back and was about to behead her, when he suddenly stopped. Suddenly the chakra cloak disappeared until there was no more. Naruto fell down onto his hands and knees and started to cry. He looked at his hands with rage. Naruto, I don't blame you, it's not your fault. Mei reassured her son as she rubbed his back. I almost killed you, I don't even know what I was thinking. Naruto sobbed. It wasn't you, Naruto. It was the Kyubi that almost killed me. Naruto looked up at his adopted mother's face and noticed her look of seriousness. Their bonding time was cut short, however, as Utakata finished his transformation. Standing there, in all its might, was the Rokubi, the six-tailed slug. The slug was mercilessly destroying the city. I wish one of us had a summoning contract. Chojuro muttered. How do we stop that thing? Naruto asked with a shocked look. Mei sighed. There is only one way. Utakata has to regain control. If he doesn't, the beast will destroy the city. Naruto looked wide-eyed, before a look of certainty appeared on his face. He ran off towards the beast. Mei looked worried and ran after him, only to be stopped by the Umbu guards. Let him go, he has an idea. The Umbu asked as he and his comrades restrained Mei and Chojuro. Naruto continued to run until he was right in front of the demon. He looked up at it and looked it right in the eyes. Utakata! I know you're in there. You're killing innocent people, you can't do this. Stop, fight the Rokubi. I believe in you. The Rokubi laughed until it found Utakata trying to gain control. Stop this. You are destroying all of Kiri, the innocent people. Utakata grunted as he tried to regain control. This is for our own good. We will rule all of Kiri and show the damned Ninetales who is in charge. Rokubi argued back as he found himself soon losing the battle. No, this isn't what I want, this is what you want. Utakata argued as he pushed a last time. Fool! You have no idea what it is you want. Rokubi argued back. No, I know what I want. I want to fight with the rebellion to restore Kiri to its former glory. More than that, I want you to get out of my body. The demon screamed as the chakra faded, revealing a free-falling Utakata. He smiled in the air. He had done it, he'd fought off his demon. Naruto gasped when he found out he couldn't make it in time to catch him. I guess this is the end. Utakata thought as a smile formed on his face. He was surprised when he was all of a sudden caught by Mei. She landed on the ground safely and surveyed the damage. The Rokubi had destroyed all the buildings within the block, and would have continued if not for Naruto stopping it. Soon the citizens of Kiri all were at their windowsills, peering out their front doors, and some even came outside to form a group. Mei scanned the crowd for threats, as they were in enemy territory. Soon enough, shocking Naruto, Mei, Utakata, and Chojuro, one man started to clap. This was followed by another, and another, and another until everyone watching was clapping and cheering for the people that saved their city. Mei smiled. Perhaps not everyone on the enemy side is as cold-hearted as Yagura tries to make them. Soon enough, Yagura himself pushed through the crowds. Kill them! Seize them! He yelled as he pointed at the small group of people. No one moved, as everyone was shocked their leader would order the death of their saviors. Yagura yelled at the crowd some more and turned back to see the leaders of the rebellion gone. Damn it! Now they have 2 Jinchuriki. Yagura muttered to himself as he walked off. People were booing at him everywhere he went. He might finally be losing control of his people. Rebellion camp, the next day. Naruto pulled on his spare black shirt and black pants as he solemnly walked downstairs. Today was the day of Nakai's funeral. Nakai had been a very close friend of Naruto's, training him or looking after him when he was younger. On his way to the funeral he ran into Utakata. Naruto, I am sorry that I killed your friend. Utakata admitted, showing more emotion than usual. It's fine, I know you were under the influence of your demon. It just hurts, ya no? Utakata shook his head. I've never had many close friends. None of them ever died. He answered. He didn't mention his one-time master, because he didn't consider him to ever have been a friend anymore. Naruto merely frowned and walked off with the other Jinchuriki. He looked at the graveyard, filled with the corpses of everyone who had died recently. So far a few hundred people have died in the year the war has been going on. Naruto's sensitive ears perked up when he heard footsteps, and lots of them. He immediately began to finger his blade's handle, just waiting for one wrong move to fight. What they saw surprised them. Walking towards them was a group of about 300 men, all dressed in Kiri Chunin or Jonin uniforms. Immediately they thought it was attack and prepared to counter. They then noticed the leader was carrying a large white flag. Is Kiri surrendering? Chojuro asked aloud. No. Yagura would never give up like that. Mei narrowed her eyes, thinking it was a trap. When they got closer she noticed who the leader was and immediately paled. Standing in front of her was the leader of Kiri's Umbu division, Suretsuyu. To what do we owe the honor? Coming to defile our graves? Mei narrowed her eyes and prepared to attack. No. We have come to join your forces. After seeing the way you protected Kiri, all of us realized how much better it would be without Yagura. You answered. Mei narrowed her eyes further. How can we trust you? She asked. You took a breath. At 4 o'clock next Thursday Yagura is planning a full-scale invasion on your camp. He was planning to eliminate you guys once and for all. Obviously he counted on us to back him up, he was wrong. I have with me 300 of Kiri's finest men. Jonin, Shunin and Umbu. You clarified. Mei widened her eyes. If what he was saying is true, Yagura's forces must be depleted to practically half of what they used to be at the beginning of the war. They also lost one of their Jinchuriki. Welcome aboard. Mei shook hands with the scarred man. She looked him over one last time. He had brown hair with a beard/mustache combo. He wore a green, camouflaged bandana on his forehead and had on a classic gray Kiri Jonin vest. He wore black pants and had a large scythe on his back. The most prominent feature was the lone scar running down the right side of his face. It was said he gained that scar from the yellow flash himself. Good to be on here. You shook her hand back. Woods surrounding Kiri. Yagura was standing in the middle of a clearing, gazing at the stars. He didn't know why he was here, frankly he didn't remember anything that had happened in the last few years. He looked at his reflection in the water. The last thing I remember was being confronted by the previous Mizukage and then nothing. He sighed and wondered why he was wearing the Mizukage robes. He all of a sudden whipped his head around as he felt another presence appear. Who's there? He called out as he withdrew a kunai. He saw a single man standing in the shadows. All he could make out was the man was wearing a black cloak. He gasped when he saw the man's dull gray eyes. They were surrounded by a ripple-like effect of rings. Who are you? He questioned as he directed all his ki at the other man. I've wanted to meet you for a long time, Yugura. The man spoke in a monotone voice. Yugura growled. How do you know my name? He sputtered out. I know a lot of things. The man simply answered. To answer your previous question, you can call me Pain. Pain? What kind of name is that? Yugura asked. The man simply laughed. It is the name of a god. He answered. You think you're a god? Yugura sneered. You're nothing but a lunatic. Pain narrowed his eyes. Yugura grew sick of this and charged forward at speeds most people wouldn't be able to follow. Pain, however, wasn't most people. He merely held out his arm. Shinra Tensei. Pain stated as a blast of invisible energy knocked Yugura back and sent him flying. Yugura wiped the blood out of his mouth and started to ooze his demonic chakra. All of a sudden 5 other men, who all had the same eyes as Pain, appeared. What is this? Yugura growled as he unleashed even more demonic chakra, soon taking the shape of a turtle. You're no longer useful for us. Pain declared as he pointed his hand at the now demon-possessed Jinchuriki. Shinra Tensei. A tremendous blast of the same energy sent the Mizukage hurling into the ocean, dead. Pain smirked as the water started to bubble, and soon enough the 3-tailed turtle emerged in all its glory. Pain merely sighed and sent another Shinra Tensei at the turtle, sending it plunging into the ocean. It was clear that Yugura was no more. The sandby was free again, although it wasn't nearly as powerful as it could be, due to its lacking intelligence. Pain disappeared into the shadows, not to be seen for some time. Rebellion camp. Are you serious? Mei shouted at you. You merely nodded. Yes. Yugura is nowhere to be found. We assume he either fled or is dead. The ex-Umbu captain confirmed. Mei raised her eyebrows. Who could have killed Yugura without us knowing? Mei wondered. I don't know, and I don't like it. You admitted. Naruto then piped in his own 2 cents. Does this mean the war is over? He asked. Actually, I'm not sure. There will still be some Yugura supporters, but with our numbers we should be able to take care of them fairly easily. I'd say within the year we should be in control of Kiri. Mei reasoned with a smile. Naruto grinned too. Even the ever-stoic you let out a small smile. Mei then turned towards Naruto. I think it's time we start your elemental training. Naruto grinned at this. This was going to be fun. Akatsuki Base. Pain stood in his room with Conan. He sighed as he looked out the window. What is it? Conan asked. It's Madara. I have a feeling that he is just using us for his own gain. I do not like being used. Pain admitted. I know what you mean, Nagato. But none of us are strong enough to kill him, so we have to listen to him. Nagato shook his head. You're wrong. I see he has never recovered from his fight with Hashirama. It would be possible to kill him, it would just be too much of a hassle, and too many losers on our side. For now we will continue to work with him. Pain's Rinnegan seemed to glow as he finished this statement. Kirigakure, 1 year later. It has been a year since the day that Yugura was announced dead. Today was finally it. Today Mei Terumi was going to be announced the Godei Mizukage. It took the better part of the last year to weed out the Yugura supporters and to fully take over Mist, but they had found that the Kiri population wasn't really against them coming into charge. Mei stood atop the Mizukage tower, clad in her new yellow and white uniform. She wore the water shadow hat with pride. Mei turned to her right to see her son leaning against a wall, polishing his blades. To her left, Chojuro and Ao were talking and Unikata was leaning against the wall with his eyes closed. She mentally prepared herself before she pushed open the door and stood upon the balcony, overlooking all of Kiri who had gathered in the town square. The audience immediately quieted down at the sight of their new Mizukage. Almost all of them were happy about the change. The mist had seemingly cleared for the glorious occasion. Greetings, people of Kiri, citizens and ninja alike. I come before you today to humbly announce my acceptance of the title Godai Mizukage. I promise to fulfill my duties to the best of my ability and to lead Mist to prosperity. No longer will Academy students have to kill in cold blood, no longer will our streets be littered with war, and no longer will those with bloodlines be disgraced. That's right, I, Terumi, may hold not one, but two bloodlines. This caused the crowd to gasp. I have the ability to combine my earth and fire chakra to make lava release, and I can combine my fire and water to make steam release. My goal is to make Kiri a formidable member of the 5 great shinobi villages once again. I bid you all farewell, and I hope you will all serve your country to the best of your ability. Long life Kiri!
Long live Kiri! The crowd shouted back as they started to roar with applause. Mei smiled as she walked back into the tower. She then turned her attention onto the men currently in the room, more specifically her adopted son. Terumi Naruto, due to your performance in the war, as well as your spotless mission completion record, I hereby offer you the position of Jonin. Mei offered with no small amount of pride in her voice. Naruto's eyes widened considerably. I accept, he said as he caught the incoming flak jacket. It was a classic Kiri Jonin jacket, being a pale gray in color. Congratulations. You are the youngest person in the history of Kiri to be promoted to Jonin at 12 years old. I can't tell you how proud I am of you. Mei praised as Naruto blushed and rubbed the back of his head. He turned to Utakata and smiled at his friend. Over the course of the last year, Naruto and Utakata have become close friends. Despite their age difference, they found they both had a lot in common. Naruto even learned Utakata's painful secret. The hard way. Flashback. Sweat rolled down the bare back of Terumi Naruto as he stood, panting, in the middle of the training dojo. On the other side of the dojo stood an equally exhausted Utakata. They'd been training a lot together in the recent months. I almost got you. Do you think you could help me with my demon chakra control sometime, train me? This apparently struck a chord in Utakata's head as he suddenly stiffed up. What's wrong? Naruto asked, clearly not knowing what he did wrong. I don't do well with training anybody else, Utakata admitted. Naruto frowned. Why not? The blonde Jinchuriki asked. Utakata shook his head. I don't like to talk about it, he firmly stated. Naruto didn't get the idea. Come on. It will make you feel better to tell me about it, Naruto pestered. Utakata sighed as he took a deep breath. My master, Harasame, a long time ago, I thought he really cared about me. He trained me to not have to rely on the Rokubi's chakra. He actually made me feel like I was more than a demon. He eventually betrayed me, however. I found out he was only using me for the 6 tails. Utakata spat in disgust. Naruto looked angry as well. Someone who would stoop that low didn't deserve to be respected. I'm sorry, I didn't know, Naruto stated glumly. It's fine. You didn't know, Utakata answered as he walked away, obviously needing some time to himself. Flashback end. Mei then turned her attention to Ao. Ao, I need you and you to personally deliver a request of alliance to Kumo, Mei asked. Ao raised an eyebrow. Any reason why Kumo? He asked. Yes. They are one of the major strengths, along with Konoha and IWA, and if we are to make a name for ourselves again, we will need strengths. Konoha is out for now, because when we went to them for help with our rebellion, they turned their backs on us. IWA is obviously out because if they were to find out about Naruto's relation, they would be out for his head. We can possibly ally ourselves with other countries in the future. I just think we should start with Kumo, Mei explained. Try and be respectful. The Rikage is an irritable man and has the power to back it up. Ao nodded and disappeared, off to find you. Mei then turned her attention to Naruto and Chojuro. Naruto, you and Chojuro will be going a double-part mission. The first part of the mission is to eliminate Gato of the shipping industry, or at least end his rule over Wave. Wave is an important shipping country for us, and we would like to be in their favor. The second, however, is more import to me personally. Mei trailed off at that point. And what is that? Naruto asked. Chojuro looked up to listen as well. You are to retrieve Momochi Zabuza and offer him a place back in the Kiri shinobi forces. The only reason he is gone was that he attempted a coup d'état ahead on his own against Yagura. Now that Yagura is gone, we could use him again. According to our information, Zabuza is working for Gato to eliminate the bridge builder, who is currently trying to build a bridge to free Wave of Gato's tyranny. The bridge builder apparently has at least a team of Konoha nin. I assume they wouldn't be higher than Chunin rank, knowing how poor Wave is right now. If Zabuza refuses on the professional level, tell him Mei would like to talk to him, as a friend. Mei sounded dead serious at this, so Chojuro and Naruto nodded and disappeared in a classic Kiri body flicker. Mei sighed and looked up into the sky. Zabuza had been a close friend of hers, being one of the few to know of her bloodline. Konoha. Psst, these brats are supposed to protect me? As if. They look like a batch of diaper fillers, especially the emo one. Tazuna snorted. This caused said emo to growl in annoyance. It wasn't enough that he was stuck with his pink-haired banshee of a fangirl and a constant annoyance named Sai. Throw a chronically late sensei, who seemed to be too serious for his own good, and a drunken client and you get one hell of a mission for Uchiha Sasuke. Kakashi looked seriously at the bridge keeper. Gone was the laid-back Kakashi. Ever since Naruto left, the copy nin had been all business. He hadn't failed a single mission since the blonde-haired heir to the Yondaime left. He was still late to everything, however. He now had one more name to mourn at the memorial stone. He remembered the lies carved into the stone. Uzumaki Naruto. Unclaimed orphan. Most likely from Kyubi attack. Status, civilian, deceased. Age, 5, cause of death, unknown. Date of birth, October 10th. No matter what anybody said, Kakashi still believed Naruto was alive out there. He didn't know where, but he hoped the blonde-haired boy was still alive. He snapped from his musing when he heard the bridge builder. I assure you, a mere C-class mission is more than enough for my team to handle. Also if they, for some reason, couldn't I am a jonin. Kakashi explained. Tazuna started to sweat. Kakashi raised his one visible eyebrow, but eventually passed it off as too much liquor. Team, meet at the main gate in 45 minutes, don't be late. Kakashi instructed as he disappeared. The team sweat dropped at their sensei, making sure they weren't late. As if he could talk about lateness. Kakashi was blissfully unaware of the impact this mission would have on his life. Road to Wave. Naruto and Chojuro traveled at high speeds through the trees leading to Wave. They were on their way to find the infamous Momochi Zabuza, the demon of the mist. Naruto smirked at the nickname. He'd heard the tale of Zabuza. Personally, he wasn't looking forward to meeting a man who had slaughtered his entire graduating class, but he was no fool and knew how powerful the man was. Chojuro? Naruto spoke up through the whooshing noise of tree hopping. Yeah? The older man looked to his blonde partner. This Zabuza, what's he like? I heard he was a real nutcase. Naruto laughed. Chojuro smirked. Yeah, Zabuza-senpai could kind of be a nutcase. He enjoyed killing a little too much for my tastes, but then again he did grow up in the prime of the bloody mist. He was strong-willed and believed that shinobi were nothing more than tools. He also dreamed of becoming the Mizukage, going as far as attempting a coup d'état to try and overthrow Yagura some years back. He specializes in water jutsu, kenjutsu, and silent killing. His sword is called the Kubikiri Hocho, literally the decapitating blade. It is about 6 or 7 feet long, and he wields it with extreme ease. Out of all the members of the 7 swordsmen, he was definitely the most bloodthirsty, although now that I think about it, Kisame-senpai was as well. Chojuro trailed off with a smile, obviously remembering good times. Naruto nodded. Do you think he'll come back willingly? Naruto asked seriously. I'm not sure, was all Chojuro said in return. They continued hopping through the trees until they arrived at a large body of water with an enormous bridge. Naruto looked wide-eyed. Mei had told him how big the bridge was, but he was apparently vastly underestimating its size. He felt a large chakra output from out ahead. Feels like someone is using a powerful jutsu. Naruto turned to his teammate, who nodded his head, having come to the same conclusion. Let's go check it out. Chojuro offered as the two took off at breakneck speeds through the foliage. They arrived in time to see Zabuza get blasted back by a large jutsu, the Great Waterfall Jutsu to be exact. He was sent crashing into a tree. They turned to see a sight that made their eyes widen in shock. The Sharingan Kakashi was fighting with Zabuza. He was a ninja legend throughout the world, being one of the youngest ninja to be promoted to Jonin, excluding Naruto himself and Uchiha Itachi. They saw that Kakashi was apparently leading a team of young genin. There was a raven-haired boy with a blue shirt and white shorts and white arm warmers. He has the Uchiha fan on his back. He was obviously the Uchiha heir, the last of the clan. Next to him stood a young pink-haired girl with a red battle dress and a white circle on the back. She wore classic blue ninja sandals and had biker shorts underneath her dress. The third man stood out like the wreckage in an orphanage. He was extremely pale. Naruto went as far to refer him as being white to the full degree. He had a black shirt that went down to his abdomen and matching black pants. He also had a small blade, most likely a tanto, on his back. They turned in time to see Kakashi about to deal the final blow to Zabuza. Naruto was about to interfere when he saw 3 Senbon fly through the air and pierce Zabuza in the neck. A false death technique? I thought those were used in the Hunter division. Naruto thought. Ao had long since showed him what he could do with his needles. Naruto shivered at the thought. He noticed a man dressed in a Kiri hunter uniform appeared next to Zabuza. Thank you for weakening him. I am a hunter of Kiri sent to kill Zabuza. You've saved me a lot of trouble. I will be going now, the man started, but was cut off as a blonde-haired man appeared in front of him, followed by a dark-haired man dressed similar to Zabuza. He started sweating when he noticed the Kiri headbands. He'd have to talk his way out of this one. What is the meaning of impersonating a hunter of Kiri? Naruto accused as he fingered Ryukin. Chojuro was also slowly moving his hand toward his respective blade. I'm sorry, I have no idea what you are talking about. I was sent on a special mission of the Yondaime Mizukage to personally kill Zabuza. It's no wonder you don't know about it, as it was top secret. The impostor lied. Naruto smirked. Chojuro beat him to it. That's strange because it just so happens that the Yondaime Mizukage is dead. I also find it strange the Mizukage would order Zabuza's death when we were sent to negotiate with him. Chojuro smirked, knowing he had the man caught. Haku's eyes widened in shock. The Yondaime was dead? This was news to him. Apparently, it was also news to Kakashi, as his one visible eye widened in shock again. He had long since replaced his headband over his eye. Haku immediately grabbed Zabuza and shuzened away. Chojuro went to follow, only to be stopped by his younger companion. Don't worry, he'll be back. Remember, his mission is to kill the bridge builder. Naruto reasoned. Chojuro nodded. Not that I don't appreciate your timely intervention. Kakashi broke into their conversation, but why are you here? Chojuro Naruto turned towards him. Kakashi glanced at Chojuro, taking in his appearance and immediately recognizing him as one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. He glanced at the young boy, who looked no older than his team but wore the Kiri Jonin uniform. He noticed the shade of blonde, not unlike that of his late sensei. He then looked into his eyes. He immediately widened his eye in shock before he looked at the final touch. 3 parallel whisker marks adorned the otherwise normal face. We were sent on personal business regarding Zabuza and Mist. I can't reveal any more to you than that, I am afraid. Chojuro answered. Naruto noticed the look Kakashi gave him and frankly it made him feel uncomfortable. What are you staring at? Naruto questioned. And Naruto? Is that really you? Kakashi asked, hoping with all his heart his suspicions were correct. Naruto immediately looked shocked. How do you know my name? He questioned. I'm Hatake Kakashi, your father was my sensei. I also used to look after you when you were a kid. Kakashi smiled. Naruto looked shocked before a look of realization traced itself onto his face. Dog-san? Naruto asked. Kakashi nodded. Naruto remembered the dog-masked Umbu who had saved his life on many occasions. Naruto Kakashi started only to be cut off by Chojuro. Don't even think about asking him to come back to Konoha. The usually nervous man tried his best to sound intimidating. Kakashi looked solemnly at Naruto. I wouldn't ask something like that. I can tell you're a lot happier than you ever could have been in Konoha. I can also tell that just as Konoha is my home and I'd do anything to protect it, the same is true for you and Mist. Naruto nodded at the Scarecrow's cryptic words. Sasuke looked strangely at the blond man, who couldn't be much older than he was. He held an aura of power and authority over him. Sasuke could tell that he'd earned the rank of Jonin. Tazuna decided to speak up. How do we know they aren't just backup for Zabuza? The old man looked suspiciously. Tazuna, I presume? Chojuro asked. The older man nodded. Chojuro approached the man and gave him a note. This is from Mizuki-sama. Tazuna read the note carefully before a look of pure joy enveloped his face. This is great. Why don't you stay with me and my family? We have plenty of room, as long as it's okay with the Konoha. Tazuna cheered as he looked at Kakashi. He knew he was on a short leash with Konoha after he lied about the mission rank. Of course that's fine with us. Kakashi confirmed. Tazuna looked back to the Mist duo, who were currently burning the note with a small fire jutsu. That would be fine, Tazuna-san. Naruto nodded. Years of war had shaped the energetic youth to become a real man, a real shinobi. He still knew how to goof off and have fun when he was off duty, but on missions he was strictly business. Okay, my house is right this way. Tazuna grinned as he suddenly felt a lot more confident. Not only did he have a team from Konoha, but he even had a team of Jonin from Kiri to support him, and not only that but they would do their best to rid Wave of Gato as well. Tazuna didn't think he'd been this happy or confident since Gato appeared in Wave. He turned to see Kakashi fall over, clearly unconscious. Before he hit the ground, he was caught by Naruto. Sasuke's eyes widened. I didn't even see him move, he's fast. Even faster than Kakashi-sensei. Is this the difference between myself and a Jonin? Sasuke thought gloomily. Sakura was still in awe that Kiri had appeared and even more so that Kakashi-sensei knew one of the Jonin. I'll carry Kakashi. Naruto confirmed as he hoisted the older man onto his shoulders. Tazuna's house. The group of 7 soon arrived at an average-looking house, much better off than most of the houses they had seen walking here. Tazuna soon knocked on the door and they were greeted by a good-looking woman who appeared to be in her early 30s. Tusan. I'm so glad you're okay. Tsunami shouted as she hugged her father. Of course I'm okay. Tsunami, I'd like to introduce you to the ninja who helped me get here safely. Tazuna grinned as her pointed to the group. Tsunami smiled. Hello, my name is Tsunami, I'm glad to meet you. Thank you so much for agreeing to help my two-san. You're a great help to all of Wave. Tsunami greeted. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke answered, looking bored. I'm Haruno Sakura. Nice to meet you, Tsunami-san. Sakura greeted enthusiastically. I'm Sai. The pale man flashed a smile that Naruto could tell was fake. Our sensei is Hatake Kakashi, but he is currently unconscious. Tsunami nodded and turned to the Mist Nin. My name is Chojuro of the Mist. This is my partner, Terumi Naruto. Chojuro greeted. It's good to meet you, Tsunami-san. Naruto greeted. Tsunami nodded back to them as she ushered them in and brought Kakashi to a futon to sleep on. The rest of the ninjas soon followed suit and went to bed as well. Road to Kumogakure. Ao and you traveled at blinding speeds through the hills of Kumo. They could see the mountains in the distance, signaling they were getting close. It had taken a week on a boat to travel to Lightning Country. Ao smirked. You turned to him. Have you ever met the Raikage? You asked towards the man. No. Why? Ao responded. Do your best to not irritate him. He is an easily angered man. He will also be a little different looking. You nervously instructed. He can't be that bad. Ao reasoned. You chuckled as they approached the main gates of Kumo. The village was built on mountains, with the Raikage living on the tallest mountain. They were stopped by the guards of Kumo. Halt! State your business inside of Kumogakure. The guard asked in perfect rhythm. You nodded and took out his papers and handed them to the guards. The right guard skimmed over the papers and nodded. Welcome to Kumo, Kiri-san. The Raikage has been expecting you. You nodded and he and Ao continued on into the village, awed by the scenery. They noticed people there seemed to use katanas. Kiri had always been known as the top village of swordsmen, although Kumo wasn't too far behind. They continued towards the Raikage Tower when they were stopped by a large dark-skinned man. He had 7 swords on his back. He wore a long white shirt with a brown belt and black pants. He also had a tattoo of an ox horn on his right cheek and a tattoo on his shoulder that said iron. He had a white beard, sunglasses, and a white Kumo headband. He had massive biceps and looked to be made of muscle. Hey Kirinin, it's time for Karabi to lead the way. The Raikage has been expecting you and it is my duty to instruct the new. The large man cleverly rhymed his words. Idiot! A blonde girl yelled as she shoved him aside. Do you have to talk like that to our guests? She scolded the older man. Yujito, you know that my raps are the best and are much better than taking a CRA. Karabi started only to get socked in the face courtesy of Yujito. Don't you dare finish that sentence in front of our guests. She yelled. Karabi grumbled to himself about angry cats. Sorry about him. My name is Yujito and this is Karabi, the brother of the Raikage. We have been sent here to escort you to Raikage-sama's office. If you would follow me. Yujito instructed and before waiting for an answer she walked off, followed by Karabi. They 4 soon arrived at the Raikage's announcement. Greetings Kirinin. It is a pleasure to meet with you. The Raikage informed the 2 Kirinin. Ao and you bowed their heads. Thank you for meeting with us Raikage-sama. They said in union. The Raikage nodded. I understand that there is a new leader of Mist, a Godame? The Yandame Raikage inquired. Ao nodded. Yes. Terumi Mei has recently been named the Godame Mizukage. She led us in the rebellion and she is one of Kiri's strongest shinobi. We have come here to propose an alliance in the name of Kiri and Godame Mizukage Terumi Mei. Ao responded. I see. Well, seeing as we are both rather excluded from the rest of the 5 countries, and I have nothing against Kiri in general, I see no problem in this. Do you have any other allies at this time? The Raikage asked. Not yet, seeing as how we have only now become active once again. Do you agree to meet with Mizuki-sama? You asked. The Rikage nodded. Indeed. Tell her I will be there in 3 weeks' time, and I will bring 2 escorts. I bid you farewell, Ao and you of Kiri. The 2 nin bowed to the larger man and disappeared in a classic Kiri body flicker. The Rikage let a small smile grace his face as he went back to work. Wave. The 4 Konoha nin stood next to Kakashi's bed while Naruto and Chojuro stood leaning against the walls to the side. Zabuza will be back. As of right now, you guys aren't near strong enough to take him, or his partner for that matter, on. The next week will be solely devoted to you training. For the most part, we won't be interacting with the Kiri nin. They have their own mission to attend to. Our mission is to protect Tizuna. Follow me, and we will begin your training. With this, the 4 Konoha nin left the house. Now Naruto turned to Chojuro. So did you track the phony hunter? Naruto questioned. Yes, I know where Zabuza's base is. Let's go. Remember, we are only to ask him, no force is necessary. However, we will have to kill Gato. Chojuro instructed. Naruto nodded and they disappeared in bursts of speed. Zabuza's base. I can't believe you got beat by 3 kids and a single jonin. I thought you said you could handle this. Gato growled, trying his best to sound intimidating. Unfortunately for him, he was trying to scare a seasoned killer. Zabuza growled back, unleashing a small bit of Ki. We'll get him next time. I wasn't prepared to fight Kakashi of the Sharingan. Next time I will be. Zabuza bluntly stated. Gato apparently wasn't happy. Let's just see what you hide under your mask, O demon of the mist. Gato mocked as he reached for Zabuza's bandages, only for Haku to intercept his arm and snap it. Ouch! That hurt, you little bitch. Gato growled at the girl. Yes, I am making Haku a girl. Haku narrowed her eyes. I will not let you touch Zabuza-sama with your filthy hands. Leave now. Haku glared daggers at the short man. 2 of Gato's guards flashed their swords, obviously trying to scare the 2 seasoned shinobi. Haku disappeared in a burst of speed and was suddenly holding Senbon at each of the guards' necks. Leave. Now. Or I may not be able to save you from Haku. Zabuza growled. Gato nodded his head and motioned for the 2 guards to leave with him. Next time you better not fail me. Gato yelled as he left the room. Zabuza immediately turned to see Naruto and Chojuro standing in the far corner of the room. Haku's eyes widened in shock. She hadn't even sensed them arrive. What do you want, Chojuro? Zabuza asked. Haku tensed, ready for battle. I merely wish to extend an invitation. The Mizukage would like you back to join our forces. Chojuro explained. Zabuza narrowed his eyes. There is no way I'm going back to serve Yagura. Forget it. Zabuza merely stated. Naruto smirked. That's good. As we told your partners, Yagura is dead. We have appointed a new Mizukage. Naruto explained. Zabuza's eyes widened. Who'd they get to replace him? Kisame? The eyebrowless man asked. Chojuro shook his head. No. Kisame left the village shortly after you. He was made a missing nin after he assassinated 2 high-ranking officials. The swordsman explained. Zabuza closed his eyes and thought. I refuse. The next time I come back to that place will be when I'm ready to take my place as ruler over Mist. Naruto and Chojuro looked at each other solemnly. I understand. Chojuro sighed. Zabuza raised an eyebrow. Why didn't you kill Gato when you had the chance? He asked. Because as long as Gato is here, you will remain as well. If he were dead, there would be nothing keeping you here. We will kill Gato in good time. Chojuro explained. Zabuza laughed. I told you I'm not coming back, he stated with venom in his voice. I understand. I would merely like to pass a message from the current Mizukage. Terumi Mei would like to talk with you, as friends. With this the two Kirinin disappeared in bursts of speed, leaving Zabuza to his musing. Mei? She's still alive. It's been so long since I've seen her. Zabuza looked up to Haku and thought. How would you feel about going back to Kiri? He asked seriously. I will do whatever it is you think is best, Zabuza-sama. Haku answered in her small voice. Zabuza shook his head. Every day he wondered if he was doing what was best. Woods outside of Tizuna's house. Naruto was deep in the woods, surrounded by hundreds of shadow clones. They were all working on perfecting his first original technique. He had stumbled upon the idea when he was working on combining his wind affinity with the Rasengan. So far he had hit a dead end in that area, but some good had come from it. He was almost done with creating his first and only original jutsu. This jutsu would rival the Kapinin's Raikiri in sheer strength, but would have the explosive power of not only wind, but fire as well. Naruto grinned as his clones worked on it. He himself was busy reading on the Hiraishin. His body still wasn't developed enough to allow him to use the Hiraishin or risk damaging his body's molecular structure. Despite popular belief, the Hiraishin wasn't just the user summoning himself to the point of the kunai at light speed. No, it was much more complicated than that. Human bodies weren't made to be summoned, unlike the bodies of summoned animals. The Hiraishin broke down the user's body into smaller molecular structures and transported the smaller structures through the summon hole to the point of the kunai or seal. The tricky part was getting the molecules arranged back in the original order. This was why you needed to be full-grown to use the Hiraishin, or risk something going wrong and ruining your developing body's atomic structure, rendering irreparable damage in the future. Naruto knew he'd have to wait until he was 15 or 16 until he could finally start to learn the Hiraishin. He figured in the time being he would merely train himself on other things such as ninjutsu, kenjutsu, taijutsu, and work on his speed. Naruto took a deep breath of the fresh air as he continued to read his scroll. Tizuna's house. The 9 people were currently gathered around the dinner table, enjoying one of Tsunami's home-cooked meals. Naruto had to admit the meal was delicious, especially when he had a mom whose cooking was always disgusting. Not that he'd ever tell her that, or she would probably maim him. It's been exactly a week since we last faced Zabuza. I'd expect him to show up any time within the next couple days. Team 7, we will guard the bridge keeper tomorrow. Naruto, I assume you two are coming as well? Kakashi questioned. Naruto nodded. Yes. If Zabuza is there, we will be there as well. I will also leave a few shadow clones back at the house, just in case Gato tries anything. Naruto confirmed. Chojuro nodded, having thought Naruto's idea was brilliant. The conversation was interrupted by Inari's sudden outburst. Why do you try so hard? Gato is just going to kill you. You're no heroes, why don't you just go back to where you came from? Inari shouted. Sasuke growled and was about to argue when Naruto spoke up. In the shinobi world, heroes don't exist. Everything is a matter of perspective. I've killed people, I've stained my hands in blood far more times than I'd like. I've even killed people who honestly didn't deserve to die. I could be considered evil. The important thing was that I fought for what I believed in, I stood up for my country and did everything I did, bad or good, knowing it would make a difference in the future. I can be considered a murderer, yet the people I killed would have done the same thing to me if given the chance. You truly are a fool. You talk like you know pain, like you stand by your country. Yet you don't. You're too afraid to stand up against a fat midget with a large checkbook. In this world, I learned one thing really fast. If you don't stand up for yourself, you're going to die. Naruto finished as he closed his eyes in thought. Kakashi nodded his head. Growing up in a time of war was hard. He himself grew up in the Third Great Shinobi War and was a recently promoted jonin. To have been fighting since you were 10, he didn't know if he could handle it. Sasuke widened his eyes in shock. This boy, no older than himself, talked as if he had killed for years, when Sasuke himself hadn't bloodied himself once. Sakura was also thinking things such as this, while Sai merely shook his head in thought. Inari was on the verge of tears. Remember this, only when someone, shinobi or not, fights for another will they experience real strength. Only when you are willing to put everything on the lines, even your life, to protect someone or something you believe in will you truly be strong. With these last cryptic words, Naruto stood up and excused himself. Inari's eyes looked like dinner plates. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. That's not true. The only way to gain power is hatred. If that's true, how is this boy, no older than me, already a jonin? Sasuke shook his head before excusing himself. Kakashi smiled a true, genuine smile at this. It looked like Naruto had indeed inherited the will of fire. Kakashi just wished he could right the wrongs of the past. Kirigakura no Sato. Mei smiled down at the piece of paper she had in her hand. She knew that this paper alone would have an amazing impact on the world. Her sharp eyes snapped up as Ao and Yu entered the room. What is the news? Mei asked. It seems as thought the Reikage would like to meet with you in 3 weeks' time. He seemed open to the idea of an alliance. Ao answered. Mei nodded and noted that Ao looked like he wanted to say something. What is it, Ao? Mei asked suspiciously. I happen to have my Byakugan activated in Kumo. I noticed that the cloud has 2 Jinchuriki of their own. He stated. Mei nodded, having already known this. Yes, the Hachibi and the Nibi. I already knew this. The auburn-haired woman answered. Ao smiled and unconsciously glanced at the piece of paper. What is this? He asked. Mei grinned. This, my friend, is only the single most important paper of my life. She stated. Ao looked confused. What do you mean? He asked. This paper clearly states that I, Godame Mizukichi Terumi Mei, hereby allow Terumi Naruto, or better yet Namake's Naruto, the permission to re-establish the Namake's clan here in Kiri. Of course I will need his signature as well. Mei smirked. Ao's jaw nearly hit the floor. You looked concerned. Are you sure that's a good idea? The yellow flash had a lot of enemies all over the world. IWA, for certain, would pay nicely for the son of Konoha's 4th Hokage, seeing as he did single-handedly wipe out 1/3 of Iwa's forces. You voiced his concerns. Mei nodded. I thought over this already. Naruto is a strong man, being one of our top jonins at such a young age. It would also do Kiri wonders to have the power of the Namake's clan to add to its military force. Naruto will also be the clan head of the Namake's. I will, of course, recreate the Terumi clan, and Naruto will recreate the Namake's, seeing as how he doesn't have my bloodline limits. Mei explained. You nodded. He knew that with the power of the Namake's clan, Kiri would benefit enormously. The Namake's had been a bloodline-less clan, relying on their genius and physical abilities to earn them a spot as one of the most prestigious clans. It's clear that the genius of the Namake's has passed on to Naruto as well. Mei finished. Ao nodded. He knew that Naruto would make them all proud one day. Zabuza's hideout. Zabuza sighed as he looked into space. Mei, it's been so long, I wonder how you are. Zabuza thought. He and the auburn-haired Mizukichi had briefly dated before Zabuza defected. They hadn't gone out long, only for about 2 months before Zabuza decided to stage his plan for the coup. Of course it hadn't worked, but he was deep down happy that Mei's had. A part of Zabuza wanted nothing more than to claim Mist as his own, while another, deeper part of him wanted to go back and talk to Mei. He knew she would probably let him go if he chose not to stay, so he couldn't use that excuse. Haku, I don't know what to do. There is a possibility that if we said no, the Mist Ning would leave. I trust Mei's word and everything, but they could be lying. If that is true, there is no way we can take on 3 Jonin at the same time. Especially if Gato is indeed going to betray us. Zabuza trailed off. I will follow you to the end, Zabuza-sama. Haku firmly stated. Zabuza looked over at the other ninja apathetically. Inwardly he cringed. Have I really hardened you to the point where you can't even speak your actual wishes? Have my wishes become your wishes? Zabuza wondered, but quickly threw that thought out. It wouldn't do for the demon of the mist to be seen as a softy. Tizuna's house. The 6 ninja were just about ready to leave for the bridge. They just finished a delicious meal, courtesy of Tsunami, and were ready for anything. Naruto and Chojuro mentally prepared themselves for whatever decision Zabuza was going to make. If he said no, they would respect that decision and inform him that the Kiri hunters would resume their chase within the week. If he said yes, Naruto and Chojuro would personally escort him back to Mist, where he would be reinstated as a Jonin. They both knew that they would have to kill Gato either way. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto whispered under his breath as 3 clones appeared next to him. You guys watch the house. We should be back by sunset. Naruto ordered as the clones nodded. The blonde then nodded towards Kakashi as the group of 6 ninja and 1 civilian started off at a slow pace towards the bridge. Naruto gazed down at his unscathed arm. His own healing abilities still astounded him. Last night his arm had been a mess of 2nd and 1st degree burns, but today there wasn't a scratch on there. Naruto could sense a steady chakra output, not unlike the feeling of the hidden mist jutsu. He immediately turned to Chojuro, who nodded back, already feeling it himself. They understood that Kakashi wouldn't have felt it because he wasn't used to the jutsu like they were. The group soon arrived to see the bridge covered in a thick mist. The mist cleared to reveal all of Tizuna's workers lying unconscious. Kakashi immediately whipped out a kunai and stood defensively in front of Tizuna. Come out. I know you're there, Zabuza. Kakashi announced. 2 silhouettes began to appear out of the mist until Zabuza and the hunter Nin were standing in front of the group. Team, defensive position. Kakashi yelled. The 3 genin immediately surrounded the bridge builder, kunai drawn and ready for battle. Zabuza started to lightly chuckle. He turned to the 2 Miss Nin. Hello, Chojuro. Fancy meeting you here? The demon of the mist chuckled. Chojuro gazed right back into his eyes, unflinching. Have you made a decision? The unusually bold man asked. Yes. I will come back, on one condition. Prove to me that you can best me in a fight. Zabuza smirked. He was confident he could defeat Chojuro. The demon of the mist knew what day it was. Chojuro all of a sudden paled. He knew that he couldn't fight Zabuza. The shy man was not very confident in his abilities, but he knew was a strong fighter. He also believed he could beat Zabuza on a normal day. Chojuro glanced wearily back at his blade. On the 3rd day of every month, Hiramakeria would lose its abilities. It was a strange thing, but all the swords of the 7 swordsmen, the ones with abilities of course, would lose their abilities 1 day every month to recharge. Unfortunately for Chojuro, Zabuza knew today was Hiramakeria's day. You know I'm no match for you today. Chojuro sighed. His eyes immediately widened as an idea dawned on him. A devilish smirk formed on the young man's face. But Naruto just might be. Chojuro voiced his thoughts. Naruto widened his eyes in shock before a hard look of determination appeared on his handsome visage. Zabuza started to openly laugh at this. That's rich. You think some snot-nosed punk, no older than 14, could best me in a fight? You honestly overestimate him or underestimate me. Zabuza mocked loudly. Naruto smirked. So you think this will be a piece of cake? Prove it. Naruto challenged. Zabuza shook his head in amusement. I would back down now. You're not good enough to play with the big kids. Zabuza mocked. Jonin or not, no kid would be able to beat him. Naruto merely glared back. So if I win, you come back with us. What do you get if you win? Naruto asked. Zabuza grinned under his bandages. Smart boy. When I win, you will pay me the equivalent to what Gato would pay me for the bridge builder's head, or give me the bridge builder. Chojuro looked uneasy. How much, exactly, was Gato planning on paying you? The swordsman asked wearily. 10 million ryo. Chojuro gasped. There was no way they could pay that much, not after the war just ended. Naruto's face morphed into one of pure determination. Chojuro looked over at his companion, obviously uneasy. Don't worry, Chojuro and I-san, I won't lose. Naruto stated. Naruto knew he would have to go all out to win this battle. It was a good thing he had recently finished his new jutsu. Zabuza smirked and motioned for Haku to leave. The young girl looked uneasy but soon walked over to the side of the bridge. What about us? Kakashi asked. Stay out of this, was the reply from both Naruto and Zabuza. The two swordsmen stood across from each other. Their eyes gazed into each other. Cold brown gazed into icy blue. Both fighters stood unmoving for what seemed like an eternity, until in a single second a gust of wind blew by. The shinobi disappeared in bursts of speed before a loud clang was heard. The Kubikiri Hocho met in a deadlock of strength with the Kazuyaba. Naruto growled as Zabuza pushed him back steadily with his superior strength. The young blonde smirked as he held out his right hand. Wind Palm Jutsu! Naruto yelled as he thrust his hand forward. The blast of wind slammed into the older man, sending him flying through the air. Zabuza grinned as he flipped backwards, landing on his feet, unharmed. Nifty trick you got there. It isn't every day you see a wind user, especially from Kiri. But now we are in my turf. Ninja art, hidden mist jutsu. Zabuza formed a single hand sign as a deep blanket of mist clouded all view in the area. Naruto growled. He was decent at silent killing, better than most. But he was up against the master. Zabuza was known throughout the land as the Demon of the Mist, not only because he hailed from Kirigakure, but for his unparalleled mastery of the hidden mist jutsu and silent killing. Naruto knew he was no match for the man in this field. So he decided to change it to his advantage. A huge burst of wind expelled from the young boy's body, blowing away all of the mist in the area. Naruto immediately gasped as Zabuza was nowhere to be seen. He instinctively threw himself to the side, barely avoiding decapitation at the hands of Zabuza's monster blade. That wind is really starting to get annoying. Zabuza growled as he started a set of hand seals. Naruto paled as he immediately recognized the seals. He started a set of his own. The two warriors flashed through hand signs at alarming speeds. They both finished at the same time. Water release, water dragon jutsu. Zabuza yelled as an enormous water dragon burst through the surface of the water. Wind release, divine blast. Naruto yelled as a tiger made of wind shimmered to life out of nowhere. The tiger easily trumped the dragon in size. Kakashi widened his eyes in shock. He knows that jutsu? That's an S-rank wind jutsu. Even I don't know that. The mighty tiger let out a deafening roar as it easily tore through the dragon and sailed towards Zabuza at high speeds. Zabuza's eyes widened in shock as dove out of the way. He smirked as the tiger was about to destroy the bridge. The jutsu would easily collapse the entire bridge. Naruto looked apathetically as he put his hands into a ram seal. The divine beast immediately dispersed until it was no more than a small breeze. Now it was Zabuza's turn to stare. This boy's control over the element of wind made Haku's control of ice look mediocre at best. Naruto and Zabuza landed across from each other, both panting. Naruto flashed a grin at Zabuza. The noob Nin grinned back under his mask. He hadn't had this much fun in a long time. Naruto disappeared in a burst of speed that shocked even Zabuza. The boy was obviously faster than him, though he was positive he had him beat in the strength department. Metal hit metal as sparks flew from the two blades currently in another deadlock. Zabuza pushed as much chakra as he could to his arms and knocked the blade out of Naruto's hands. "Not so tough now, are you?" Zabuza mocked. Naruto growled as he unsheathed Ryukin. The blade ignited into flame as Naruto charged forward. Zabuza barely had time to block the flaming blade as the superheated metal crashed into his own. The Xmas Nin was lucky Kubikiri Hocho was made out of indestructible steel, or he was sure the force behind the blade of fire would have destroyed his respective sword. Zabuza pushed the younger boy back as he jumped backwards. "Fire too? Just what are you?" Zabuza questioned through pants. "My name is Terumi Naruto. Remember it?" Zabuza's eyes widened in shock. Terumi Naruto, Mei had a son. No wonder he was so strong. Naruto started a set of seals before he took a deep breath. "Fire release, fire dragon bullet jutsu." Naruto yelled as he exhaled a dragon of fire. The dragon sped towards Zabuza, intent on ending the fight. The dragon crashed into Zabuza, but instead of it burning white-hot, it dispersed into steam. The steam lifted to reveal Zabuza with a protective water wall around him. Zabuza grinned before he felt a chakra signature behind him. He turned to see the blonde running towards him at breakneck speeds. Zabuza barely caught a glimpse of a blue ball in the boy's hand. "Rasengan!" Naruto yelled as he thrusted his palm towards the unsuspecting missing Nin. Zabuza's eyes widened in shock. "I don't have time to dodge." Zabuza thought as he made a last-ditch effort and stuck his unbreakable sword in front of him. The swirling ball of chakra grinded against the large metal sword as sparks flew wildly. Zabuza smirked, thinking his sword would be enough to stop the attack. He was sadly mistaken as the Rasengan eventually snapped the large sword like a twig. The force of the extra energy sent Zabuza flying backwards. The masked Nin would have flown off the edge if it wasn't for the timely intervention of Haku. Zabuza growled as he stood up again. Looking apathetically at the useless weapon, he threw it to the side and charged toward Naruto in a blind frenzy. Naruto smirked. When a ninja was angry, he made more mistakes. Zabuza attempted to plow his fist into the blonde's face, but was stopped short as Naruto blocked the fist and sweep-kicked Zabuza's feet from under him. The demon of the mist grunted as he pushed himself to his feet. He noticed a flash of silver out of the corner of his eyes and turned to see Naruto's blade, Kazuyaba. You should take better care of these, kid." Zabuza mocked as he picked up the sword. Immediately blades of wind expelled from the sword, shredding Zabuza's hand. The Xmas Nin dropped the sword in shock as he looked at his bloody hand. "What the hell?" Zabuza grimaced as he unwrapped the bandages from his face. He then proceeded to wrap up his bleeding hand. Naruto looked at Zabuza's unscarred face. The only abnormal thing was the long, sharp teeth, much like Chojiro's. Zabuza mentally hit a wall. Without the use of his right hand and his sword, there was no way he could win. He couldn't use ninjutsu or kenjutsu. That left one-armed taijutsu. Every odd was against Zabuza. Zabuza's pride wouldn't allow him to give up. He flipped out a kunai and held it in a reverse grip with his left hand. Naruto held Ryukin firmly, ready to strike at any moment. The fighters were broken from their battle when they heard clapping. The 8 ninjas turned to see Gato surrounded by no less than 100 men. "What is the meaning of this, Gato?" Zabuza growled. I was never going to pay you anyway. You see, you missing nin are so expensive, but I can't hire ninja from villages. They would never do the kind of jobs I need done. I decided that I would just hire a missing nin and have a group of bandits take them out when the job is done. I guess there's more ninja than I expected. Gato trailed off, looking at the unscathed Konoha team. No matter, 100 bandits should be more than enough to deal with 5 kids and 3 adults. Gato sneered. Zabuza growled as he gripped the kunai so hard his knuckles turned white. Naruto grinned. "I'll take them all on by myself," Zabuza yelled out as he prepared to charge. He was stopped by Naruto's hand on his shoulder. "You're in no condition to fight off this many men, even you wouldn't live. I've got just the jutsu for this," Naruto explained. The demon of the mist grudgingly nodded his head and stepped back. Naruto closed his eyes and held out his palm. Soon a ball of fire shimmered to life in Naruto's hand. The fire was soon surrounded by a cocoon of swirling wind. Kakashi's eyes widened for what seemed like the umpteenth time this fight. Fire and wind were naturally unable to mix. Either Naruto had found a way to do it, or he was somehow keeping the 2 different types of chakra to mix. You see, Gato, fire and wind can't naturally mix. The wind would just superheat the fire and it would explode. I found that using exceptional control I can keep the 2 elements from mixing while the technique is in my palm. Once the jutsu leaves my palm, however. Naruto grinned as he lobbed the ball towards the group. "Common guys charge." "He's bluffing," Gato yelled as he took a few steps back. The ball went sailing into the crowd, shredding everybody it hit. Just when they thought it was over, the fire and wind chakra mixed. "Wind and fire release, supernova," Naruto yelled over the loud winds of his technique. The ball all of a sudden glowed a bright white before it exploded in every direction. What used to be a small army of bandits was now a lake of blood and gore. Almost every bandit was dead, and the ones who weren't wished they were. The few survivors were covered in 3rd-degree burns. The only thing making them recognizable was their disfigured faces. Zabuza's eyes widened. He now knew that despite the blonde boy's young age, Naruto was easily stronger than him. The only thing that kept the Nugenin alive was that his opponent didn't go for lethal blows. Zabuza looked to see Gato lying in a pool of his own blood. He was almost disfigured beyond recognition. Zabuza smirked as he appeared before the shorter man. "This is why you never double-crossed the demon of the mist." Zabuza grinned maniacally as he stomped with all his might and Gato's head exploded in a bath of blood under the pressure. Naruto grimaced. It was a very brutal way to kill someone, no doubt. Naruto turned back to Zabuza. "Where were we?" Zabuza merely shook his head. "I know now that I can't win. Not only am I without the use of my right hand, but my sword as well. I give up." Naruto flashed Zabuza a grin before his eyes rolled into the back of his head and he fell backwards. Before Naruto could contact the ground, he was caught by Haku. Haku looked into the eyes of this boy, this man, who had single-handedly beaten Zabuza and killed a group of over 100 bandits afterwards. "Is he okay?" Sakura gasped out. Kakashi nodded. "Yes. I think he is just suffering from chakra exhaustion. He not only used 2 A-rank jutsu, but 2 S-ranks as well. The adrenaline is probably just wearing down." Kakashi confirmed. Chojuro nodded and took Naruto out of Haku's hands. Zabuza collapsed onto his knee. I think I need to rest as well. The group nodded and they left back to Tezuna's house with 2 extra companions. Tezuna's house next morning. Naruto awoke from his sleep at the sound of the door creaking open. He turned to see what he assumed was the Hunter from before. He noticed with a blush how beautiful she was. He went from her soft brown eyes, to her slightly pale face, down to her shapely body. At this point Naruto shook his head, not wanting to get any ideas. Good morning. Haku greeted. Naruto nodded his head in recognition. We haven't properly met. My name is Haku. The older girl smiled. Naruto's face turned bright red at this. I am Naruto, Terumi Naruto. The blonde responded with a grin of his own. Haku couldn't help but notice the blonde's boyish good looks. I know you're not here to just say good morning. Naruto raised a single eyebrow. Haku nodded. I wanted to know how it is you're so strong. Haku admitted. Naruto's smile turned into a look of complete seriousness. I'm strong because I train every day. You seem strong enough already. Why is it you keep training? Haku wondered. It's because I'm not strong enough. I need to be strong if I am to fulfill my dream. Naruto responded sagely. And what exactly is your dream? Haku wondered. My dream used to be the Mizukage, and although I still wouldn't mind being it, it isn't my real dream anymore. My dream is to become strong enough so I can protect everyone important to me, everyone in the Mist Village. Haku closed her eyes and thought. So I take it you have many precious people? Naruto nodded. Good. With this Haku took her leave. If you really want me to befriend this boy Zabuza-sama, I will. Flashback. Haku stood next to Zabuza's bed. The demon of the mist was sitting down on his bed and thought. Haku. Zabuza stated, breaking the silence. Yes? The young female answered. Zabuza took a breath in. I want you to befriend this Naruto. Haku blinked a few times. May I ask why? Haku pondered. Because I said so, need I a reason? Zabuza narrowed his eyes. Haku immediately shook her head. Of course not, Zabuza-sama. I will do what you wish. Haku answered as she left. Mentally she was still wondering what that was all about. Haku, I thought you would finally question me. I guess I really did go too far with you. I hope I'm right and this Naruto will be able to sway you from your beliefs. Zabuza thought with a sigh. Flashback end. Naruto yawned as he shook his head. He really didn't know what that was all about. The girl, Haku, just walked in and asked him a question, then left. He decided some things were better left the way they were as he silently got dressed. Unnamed bridge, 3 days later. The bridge was finally done, thanks to the help of the blonde boy and his shadow clones. Tezuna grinned as he looked at his masterpiece. All it needed was a name. All the ninja were gathered at the gate, all but Naruto and Kakashi. Back at the house. You wanted to talk with me? Naruto asked towards the lazy jonin. Kakashi nodded as he snapped his book shut. How is it you know the Rasengan? The Copynin asked. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Does it matter? Kakashi glared into the younger boy's eyes. Yes, it does. The Rasengan was a sacred jutsu of Konoha, of my teacher. Kakashi was interrupted by Naruto at this point. You mean my father? Naruto asked. Kakashi nodded slowly. That still doesn't explain how you know it. Naruto inwardly cursed. He couldn't tell Kakashi how he knew it, or risk war with Konoha. He also knew he couldn't just say he reinvented it. Or could he? I recreated it. Naruto answered bluntly. Kakashi's eyes narrowed. Bullshit. That jutsu took my sensei 3 years to create. There's no way you could recreate it unless... Naruto's finger itched closer to his sheath. Are you calling me a liar? Kakashi's hand rose up towards his headband. Possibly. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a kunai. Naruto. Hatake. Enough. The two were broke from their heated argument as Chojuro and Zabuza stood lazily in the doorway. Naruto humphed as he turned on his heel and stormed away. Hatake, it would do you good not to threaten Naruto. He isn't as patient as I am. Chojuro glared as he and Zabuza disappeared in body flickers. Kakashi sighed as he palmed his forehead. What have I done? I may have just made an enemy I shouldn't have, for my sake, and Konoha's. Back at the bridge. Naruto arrived shortly after Zabuza and Chojuro. He didn't seem to be in a good mood. Kakashi soon arrived as well. Tazuna noticed absent-mindedly that the two elite jonin wouldn't make eye contact with each other. I can't thank you guys enough for what you've done. Now that Gato is gone and we have our bridge, Wave will be free again. I promise I will pay Konoha with the sum of an A-rank mission when Wave gets enough money. Tazuna then turned to the Mist Ning. How much do I owe you guys? He asked. Nothing. Consider it a favor for a neighbor. All Kiri asks is permission to trade through Wave. Chojuro answered. Consider it done. Tazuna shouted as he shook the swordsman's hand. Thank you so much. No problem. Chojuro answered as he and Naruto took off, followed by Haku and Zabuza. They were expected back in Kiri in a few days, so they would have to go fast. Zabuza lazily held a scroll in his hand. Inside the scroll were the 2 parts of the Kubikiri Hocho. He would have to get it fixed back in Kiri. Now all we need is a name. Tazuna trailed off before a knowing look plastered onto his face. I know. The Bridge of Water and Fire, because if it wasn't for Fire Country and Water Country, we wouldn't be here right now. Tazuna shouted as the rest of the village roared in approval. Mizuki's office. Mei was lazily sorting through papers in her office. By her standards, it was way too early to be awake, much less sorting through paperwork. Her sharp ears perked up at the sound of footsteps through the hard wooden door. She immediately recognized the chakra signature of Naruto and Chojuro and let her guard down. Come in. Mei called before Chojuro even knocked on the door. The group proceeded in and Mei smiled at her adopted son. Her eyes softened when she saw Zabuza. I trust the mission went well. Mei asked, suddenly all business. Yes. Gato is dead. Naruto answered. Mei turned to the young girl with Zabuza. Immediately rage flared to life in Mei until she noticed the cold exterior in her eyes. She looked deeper and noticed that inside of the young girl was a soft and caring person, exposed to the cruel world of the shinobi. She could tell that this girl wasn't romantically involved with Zabuza, more so a tool to be used at his whim. Zabuza, who is your friend? Mei asked. This is Haku. Zabuza answered. Hello, Haku-san. Mei greeted. Haku nodded. Greetings, Mizuki-sama. It is a pleasure to be here today. Haku answered. Naruto, you and Haku need to leave. I need to talk to Chojuro and Zabuza alone. Mei instructed. Naruto nodded. Why don't you two get to know each other better? Mei suggested. Okay. I guess I can treat Haku-san to some food. How about it? Naruto asked. Haku blushed deeply. She had never been on anything that could even remotely be considered a date. She shook her head. This wasn't a date, it was merely a way to get to know each other better. No matter how much she tried to convince herself, she couldn't get the blush to go away. Haku turned to Zabuza. "May I, Zabuza-sama?" Haku asked. Zabuza sneered. "You don't need to ask me about this. You're a big girl now." Zabuza answered. Haku nodded and walked out the door with Naruto. Mei immediately activated the silencing jutsu. "Zabuza, I brought you here to offer you a position I think you'll like very much." Mei said. "What is that?" Zabuza questioned apathetically. "I want you and Chojuro to recreate the 7 swordsmen of the mist." Mei answered. Chojuro's eyes widened in shock. Zabuza merely raised a single eyebrow. Of course Chojuro would be the first seat, seeing as how he stayed loyal to Kiri throughout it all. "Zabuza, you would be the second seat and you too would recommend other members to join," Mei explained. After a long silence, Zabuza eventually nodded his head. "That would be acceptable. I accept your offer, Mei," Zabuza answered. A part of Mei was peeved that Zabuza didn't address her as Mizukichi-sama, but she knew Zabuza was never one for formality. "I accept as well, Mizukichi-sama," Chojuro answered. "Good, now do you have any recommendations for other members?" the Mizukichi asked pleasantly. Chojuro immediately went to speak, only to be cut off by Zabuza. "I nominate Terumi Naruto," Zabuza stated bluntly. Mei raised an eyebrow and turned to Chojuro. "I second that nomination," Chojuro confirmed. Mei nodded her head. "It's official. Terumi Naruto is now the 3rd seat of the 7 swordsmen of the mist," Mei stated as she stamped the paper. She grinned as she reminded herself that in a few weeks' time, she was going to publicly announce the Namikaze clan's re-establishment in Kiri. Mei decided it was best to wait until Kiri and Kumo were formally allied, in case IWA decided to try something. She knew that even the Hidden Rock wouldn't be foolish enough to take on the combined forces of Kumo and Kiri, especially since the 2 villages had a total of 4 Jinchuriki. With Naruto and Haku walked slowly through the village streets. Naruto glanced out of the corner of his eyes at the girl next to him. He didn't know about her, but this silence was bothering him. "So, where were you from? How did you meet Zabuza?" Naruto asked, trying to break the silence. Haku's eyes immediately glanced downwards. She was obviously remembering bad times. I am sorry. I didn't mean to bring up bad things, you don't have to tell me." Naruto trailed off. "It's okay, I was born in a small village in northern water country. I lived with my parents until I was 6 years old. I didn't know this back then, but my mother was originally from a clan that fled Kiri early on in the bloodline genocide. My mother fled and married a normal man, a farmer, in a small village. They were happy for years. One day, I discovered my bloodline, the ice release, the reason my mother is dead." At this point, tears were sliding freely down Haku's face. The two were sitting on a bench. "I found out and I showed my mother. She slapped me and told me never to do that again. The next day I came home to find my mother dead. My father then tried to kill me, claiming I was some kind of freak. I did the only thing I could." Haku wiped the tears from her face. "I killed him. After this I fled my village. I would do anything for food. I stole, ate from garbages, and even ate stray animals. Eventually I just decided I was better off dead. I had no purpose in the world. It was worse than death. That was when Zabuza-sama found me. He gave me a purpose, he found use for me. His use for me was with Zabuza and Mei. To become a living weapon, a tool for my own use." Zabuza finished his story to Mei. Mei looked angrily at Zabuza. You did what? You used a little girl, someone who had lost everything in life, and shoved your beliefs onto her. How many times have I told you that shinobi are not weapons, we are human beings? Mei shouted. Zabuza looked apathetically. You're wrong. A shinobi is merely a stronger version of a kunai, expendable, replaceable. Or at least that's what I used to think. Throughout all these years, Haku has become like a daughter to me. I know I don't show it. You know I'm no good at emotions and things. Zabuza trailed off. Mei nodded. During the entire time they dated, she had not once had she ever heard the three important words. I know I need help to fix this. I went too far with her. She can't even speak freely anymore. Zabuza admitted. I know just who can fix this. Mei answered truthfully. Who? Zabuza asked. Naruto.
That is the end. Comment ramen if you got this far, and I will see you guys in another video.